Hey everybody, Jeremy Siskind here, the author of Solo Standards for Piano. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano, and yes, I am the author of Jazz Piano Fundamentals. 3-book series, check it all out, jeremysiskind.com. But we're going to get down to business. I've been doing this every Saturday series, talking about some essential strategies of jazz voicings, essential voicings that you need to know. And the past 4 weeks now, I've been talking about different kinds of modal voicings. And if you haven't watched those, you might want to go back and watch them. I'll do a little review, but you're going to really enjoy it more if you have a solid understanding of those. Up to you. Today, as I was doing those videos, I was thinking about it almost does these things a disservice. We teach them separately, but these voicings are used so interchangeably that it almost does a disservice to not do something with them together. So I want to show you how they're used together. I want to show you sidestepping and planing, two really essential strategies with modal voicings, and then we'll look at how we might apply these. So the 3 specific modal voicings that we're really going to focus on are so-what voicings. This is the easiest one, I think, or the most clear one. And so-what voicing just means there's a third, fourth, and fourth within the mode. Okay. A really essential thought about modal voicing is that these voicings, the details of these voicings are going to change, whether it's a major third or a minor third, a perfect fourth or an augmented fourth. These are going to change based on the position in the mode. And I used to teach these building them up from the lowest note, but I really think melodically, so I think it's most productive to think about building them down from the highest note. You get the same result either way. So-what voicings, there's really only one formula. There's only one way to do it. Quartal voicings is a little bit more broad in that we could stack up different amounts of fourths, but quartal voicings stack up fourths within the mode. So if I'm doing this in D Dorian, sorry that my aim was a little bit off, then our first 3 notes we would harmonize like this. You could see it's looking probably pretty similar to a so-what voicing, except instead of a third on top, it's a fourth on top. Let's A-B these orally. So-what, quartal. And then pentatonic voicings. Woo. I talked in the episode about pentatonic voicings about how we could actually do them some different ways, but generally what we're going to do is we're going to take a pentatonic scale and we're going to take every other note in order to form a 5-note voicing. Now, we end up with all 5 notes, but in order to actually stack the voicing, we're taking every other note. I'm going to come back to that E in a second. So I'm leaving a little blank space. So I'm using the D pentatonic scale for D minor. That's a pretty typical thing to do. Now, where this E is, what I could do is borrow from the pentatonic scale a whole step up. So if this is D minor, I could go to E minor, and I could use the pentatonic scale there. And I could do that same thing actually for G. It's a little bit nicer than just repeating. So when I'm doing pentatonic voicings, I'm not just using a single pentatonic scale. I'm actually mixing between 2 or sometimes more pentatonic scales. You can read all about all of this in Jazz Piano Fundamentals, book number 3. So again, here's so-what, quartal, a little beefier, a little meatier, pentatonic, like just more consonant, more beautiful, less crunch, less grit in the pentatonic voicings. Now, before we go and start mixing these, let's just talk about sidestepping and planing. These are kind of two sides of the same coin, or that's not really the best way to say it. But these basically involve targeting a voicing. Well, let's start with sidestepping. When we sidestep, we're going to, let's say we're taking this so what voicing, and we're going to target it by a half step. The most common thing is a half step above, especially in modal music. Could be from below too. So that's a really nice way to add color. Planing means that we are taking a shape and we are moving it by a chosen interval. So it could be a half step, in which case it's going to be very similar to sidestepping, but it doesn't have to be. Now, planing can be targeting a chord, or we could like start, if we're thinking about planing, we could start with this chord and we could say, oh, I'm going to move it up by whole steps. And when we do that, when we're planing, we're not thinking about the mode. We are thinking about the exact precise interval. And then we're moving it. Now, planing has to resolve somehow. And I think students are intimidated by this. But basically, we just want to move to some kind of an adjacent chord. That's going to, it's going to resolve. So if we're starting in D minor, we want to end in D minor. Maybe we're going to go to just this version of the so what chord. Because there's modal voicings on every step, we don't have to freak out that we're not going to be able to resolve anywhere, right? Like, let's look at if I had gone one fewer, I'd probably resolve here. This is a pentatonic voicing for D minor. By the way, if you're wondering why I chose pentatonic instead of so what, the so what voicing here isn't awful, but it's just a little bit more dissonant. It doesn't sound as resolved, so it's a nice place to just substitute in a pentatonic voicing. I could also use a quartal voicing here in order to resolve. I don't like that one as much because so many notes are just the same instead of moving. Right, it doesn't quite have the same effect because of the A is the same, the E is the same, the B is the same. So it doesn't really feel like it's moving. It just feels like the top and bottom notes are moving. I wasn't going to talk about this, but we can also use a very non-modal device, which is tonicization, which means that we're adding in a 5 chord. And this can interestingly combine. So, first. Wow, whoa. Okay, it's going great, guys. Everything's going totally according to plan. So, like generally, this would be what tonicization looks like. And here, I would use pretty tonal voicings. Like if I'm going to A7, I would try to put the 3rd and the 7th here. And then we could resolve, let's say, to a quartal voicing. Now, I love mixing planing with tonicization because it can make a strong resolution. So let's we're going to leap from this example to this example and check this out. As soon as we bring in the tonicization, everything just comes right back into focus and we're like, ah, yeah, it resolved. Okay, so planing, we're generally starting somewhere, going crazy outside of the key, and then figuring out a way to bring it back in, whether that's just moving back to the original chord or whether we're going to add in some sort of a tonicization. All right, now, So I'm going to be very free in terms of my melody. I'm still thinking just of a melody as I'm comping for what a difference a day makes. And let's try to harmonize it with some different chords. And since we're using modal voicings, we're again going to simplify the harmony. So bit did be better boom I'm just singing whatever comes to mind. Try not to make it too boring. All right, so if I start here harmonizing this with the so what voicing, I'm gonna have a really ugly voicing. Ugh. So this might be a good time to use a pentatonic voicing. That's F minor pentatonic. It looks so much, well, it doesn't look nicer. It sounds so much nicer. And then maybe from there I could go to so what voicings. Because these are two of the really nice ones. And could I have gone with a quartal voicing for the very first chord? Yes, but then I'm missing the third for F minor. And so it's really not going to sound much like F minor. Notice that both my first and last chords have the third in it. The third's a little higher here, but it's still there. And that's, to me, really important. All right, so what are we going to do for this next one? Kind of very similar. I'm trying to think of a way to be creative, but I would honestly start with a pentatonic voicing, the same voicing, again, for the same reason, or it's actually now more that A flat's the seventh, but, and just to make it a little bit more fun, let's make these into quartal voicings now. Q for quartal. Little grittier sounding. And we'll do a tonicization here, a B flat 7. And one of the reasons I chose this is because you'll see that the intervallic structure is not really that different than the chord that came before, right? It's not moving by that much. Okay, let's start with the so what voicing. This also happens to be a pentatonic voicing. Either way, we've got the nice third and sixth on bottom here. And I'm gonna put in a so what, another pentatonic slash so what voicing. And resolve to, I guess it's the same. Yeah, it's not really that interesting. Doo-doo. Well, let's use a, so that's a quartal voicing, also a pentatonic voicing. Remember that each pentatonic voicing set has one so what and one quartal voicing in it. So it's not really strange that I'm saying it's both a quartal and a pentatonic. A lot of them are both. All right, let's use some planing here, because this hasn't been so spicy so far. So I'm gonna take this so what voicing, and I'm gonna plane it downwards. So this has nothing to do with the chord now. This is a different, we're not thinking about what's the third, what's the seventh, anything like that. And then I'll resolve it. Well, I'm really continuing to plane. I'm just making sure that that's true as I say it. Let's start with a quartal voicing. It is also a pentatonic voicing. And let's move this quartal voicing up. So these are just all quartal voicings, 5 notes, all staying within the scale / key. And now I'm gonna do something. So if I keep going, this voicing that I'm kind of arriving at doesn't have that A flat, which is so important. So I gotta do something to break this up. So I'm gonna switch to so what voicings here. And that's really nice because I actually get both the 3rd and the 7th, if I write it correctly, of the B flat 7 here. And I'll go ahead and go back down with these so what voicings as well. So you could see that I'm choosing which voicing based on like whether I'm getting the important notes like the 3rd, or whether I'm ending up in a kind of a more dissonant voicing that I don't really like. And let's plane this. So again, going outside of the key. And let's go ahead and make this Lydian, which will be fun. So it's like an E flat major sharp 11. And I'm going to use the F pentatonic to harmonize this. I feel like there's 2 different kinds of people watching this. One is like, it's so slow. The other's like, oh my god, it's so fast. And I'm sorry for both of you. All right, let's hear how this sounds so far. I'll let you see it a little bit bigger. So, cool. Let's see. Why not? And I'm gonna alternate between 2 different pentatonics, F and E flat majors. So it looks like this. So this is planing, if you want to consider it that, or you could just think about it as mixing between 2 pentatonics. Either way. All right, so as we're gonna do this minor 2-5-1, we're gonna think about Locrian and Phrygian, and then Dorian for the C minor, because we're gonna give it a really modal sound. And know that B is outside of the Locrian mode, but that's gonna be nice. We're gonna have the major 3rd in there. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the so what voicing. I like how it gives me the 7th. I did a terrible job here. Gives me the 7th, the flat 5, the root. I've got a lot of the sound of that chord. Let's see, what do I want to do here? half diminished chords just always sound so bad in modal. It's that ninth that always gets you. So I'm gonna go back to a so what voicing here because I like I like having the third in there. Or maybe I'll do a quartal voicing. That's so nice and consonant. And I still get the third in there, in fact, a little bit lower. So I'll go ahead and I'll do a so what voicing here. Alright, so let's do a quartal voicing, and then I'm going to plane that upwards, and then I'm going to end here with a type AB voicing as kind of a tonicization. So that we really hear that dominant sound a little bit more. I like all the so what voicings there. It's kind of nice because the middle one's dissonant, but to me, having the middle one dissonant is like the way to do it because then it resolves. So these are all so what. SW for so what. I don't know. Try to put some leaps in so it's a little bit more interesting. Bo do bo be do. All right, let's finish it off, baby. So what voicing seems like a good place to start. And then I'm going to go down in my pentatonic voicings. So this is going to be D minor pentatonic. Remember, that is like our secondary pentatonic. And I'll do 2 of those in a row. And then come back to my C minor. So this is D minor, D minor, C minor. Ugh. So I've got to wrap this up momentarily. So pentatonic voicings here. This first one's a so what voicing as well. And then let's do some quartal voicings. It's been a while since we've done a few of those in a row. Like the quartal voicing for the last one. It's really ugly. Well. Oh no. Pentatonic, F minor pentatonic. And then let's just finish it off with a nice friendly type AB voicing. Alright, let me play this for you. So here I'm mixing modal voicings and style. So that's very busy comping. I don't think I would actually comp like that. If you want to see a lot more examples of this kind of thing, check out Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3. And since we're mixing, use the word mix in your comments if you watched this far. Thanks a lot, everybody.